Yin Yoga is a profound way of practicing postural asanas, postural yoga or asanas, where your body achieves balance, where your tissues get stimulated, revived and strengthened in poses, and where the tissues receive the health-inducing stress. Sometimes it's called restorative, or is compared to restorative yoga, and the main difference between yin and restorative is that restorative is that exactly that. The body is put in a pose which is similar to a yin pose, could be similar to a yin pose, but it is completely in a restorative state. Therefore, it does not stress the body. The body is not being stressed in any kind of way, and it receives complete relaxation and calm. There is not much doing in restorative yoga, and props are normally used to support the body to achieve this calm restorative state. In Yin Yoga, you're instructed in a similar pose, but the emphasis is to put the stress on the tissue, the health-inducing stress, the tissues, and we use the props in such way that we support the body to perhaps prevent the injury, and sometimes to achieve and emphasize the stress. Because we're all different, we all have different bodies. So some people will receive the stress so just by starting going into the pose, and some people will have to do certain alterations or need to alter a pose to actually receive this stress. It is important to note, though, that although the Yin Yoga is compared, or sometimes people have are worried that they might overstretch their body in Yin Yoga, it's important to note that the aim of Yin Yoga is not to overstretch the body. Though sometimes in Yin, some tissues will receive the stretch, such as fascia around or in and around the muscles. But some tissues, like dense connective tissues around joints, will receive health-inducing stress. As I said, we are not here to overstretch in Yin. We all have different bodies. We are not all we're not made of rubber, and we're not here to go into increase motion or over increase the range of motion in our body. We're doing the poses in a very slow and repetitive motion or repetitive movement. And this in turn will result in hydration of the dense tissues, especially, and the dense tissues around our joint. Hydrating the tissues, it will increase the detoxification of the tissues of the body. The tissues, the connective tissues around joints, the fascia, the connective tissue of fascia has viscoelastic properties, and as such it shows the elastic properties as well as viscous properties. That would mean that when the pose is put under the stress, the fascia starts to flow, and when it flows, when it's put under the slow stress, it lengthens in the case of a tensile stress. And once stress pressure or the pressure is removed, the elastic properties of fascia start to bring back fascia to its original shape and length, and therefore it shows this property of creeping back to its original shape and state. It's sort of like a plunger effect. If you're making coffee in the morning and you're putting the plunger in, and if you do it things too quickly, then the coffee would actually come out of it, or the water will start coming out. Whereas if you put the pressure very slowly and slowly push the plunger down, then the properties in the liquid coffee, it will change. So the same way, we're putting the pressure very slowly and over a period of time. So therefore, it's really important to know the 4 principles when coming into the pose. In order to stress the areas of the tissues in the body, which are called in Yin target areas. And so the main principles are, I will instruct you to come into a pose that slowly, where you're going to feel mild to moderate stress in the target area. So important to play your edge. And we often say that in Yin, and relax for a period of time in this pose, and stay relatively calm for a couple of minutes, usually between 1 to 6 minutes. And then slowly trace your steps back out, or to come out of the pose. So I mentioned quite a few. The mild coming in, so playing your edge and coming into the pose to experience mild to moderate sensation in the pose means that you know your body, or you sense, you play, you go into your sensation to feel your sensations in the body. And so often we talk about the scale of sensations. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is no pain and 10 is excruciating pain, your sensation should be somewhere between 2 and 5. So mild to moderate. Also, you may be feeling the sensation of achiness, dull bitterness, or diffuse pressure sometimes. So play your edge. Staying relaxing in that pose is that if you relax often say, for example, in Sphinx, if you go into a pose, if you relax your belly, then you might feel the compression a little bit more in which is the target area in your back. So relax the muscles, relax in the pose, staying for a couple of minutes. So you stay until the pose becomes either that you no longer feel the sensation, or you're starting to feel the extreme sensation. The sensation is going from 2 to 5, is going over to 6, 7, or whatever. It's becoming uncomfortable, in which case you come out of the posture very, very slowly. So it's really important that you come out of the pose slowly, that you trace your steps in exactly the same way as you came in, and that you listen to your body. Your body speaks to you. If you increase the breath should stay natural. If you increase the breath, if you deepen the breath to remain the pose, that means that you've gone too deep, so slowly come out of the pose. It's also important that you, after the pose, that you come out of the pose and you stay in certain rest. Not just out of the pose, but also after the practice for about half an hour to an hour. Because you do not want to be rushing things, and this is because of the viscoelastic properties of the fascial tissues and the creeping back syndrome. Thank you.